You're playing solitaire to make her house better. And I guess like the inciting incident is that she walked in on her husband drinking her friend's breast milk. That seems totally fine and normal, right? Actually, for a solitaire game.
Maybe you've had this experience. You're scrolling through social media or watching YouTube, and suddenly an animated ad appears on your screen. What you see next might shock you, disgust you, creep you out, or at least profoundly confuse you. If you stick around until the end of the uncanny slop fest, you'll see that the advertisement is for some simple little game you play on your phone, one that often has very little to do with the sick and strange cartoon that may go on to haunt you for the rest of your life. This is the world of mobile game ads, a world I have wanted to pull you poor souls into for years now, and I finally found the right way to do it. This episode is a collaboration with The Boys from the Panic World podcast that covers internet-fueled moral panics. Together, we watch a sampler platter of the weirdest ads I have discovered over time, describe the horrors to you, analyze the advertising psychology behind these productions, and look at the long history and progression of these kinds of clickbaity internet marketing tricks. For longtime listeners, this will definitely remind you of the Elsagate episode we made back in 2021, a great companion to what you are about to hear. Listener beware, this episode contains all manner of uncomfortable and upsetting subject matter, and may not be appropriate for anyone who is a living, breathing human being. I'm your host, Chelsey Weber-Smith, and this is American Hysteria.
So I wanna start things off with a question that I've been dying to ask other internet professionals for a long time. Have you ever on purpose clicked a banner ad, like to go do something?
I can't think of a single time that I have, but I imagine I must have, because sometimes they're just so weird, which is really on brand for what we're talking about today. But I can't think of a single one. What about you?
I was wondering about this. Like, was there ever a moment in internet history where I ever thought, like, that sounds cool, I would like to learn more about that?
That's probably real. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, there must have been, like, at some point, right? But the only thing I can think of is, like, I was a really big webcomics person, like before a lot of them radicalized during Gamergate. And I remember like a lot of webcomics advertising each other.
Yeah.
In banner ads. And I feel like as a teenager, I would be reading like Penny Arcade, and then I would like click a banner ad to like read another webcomic I'd never heard of. And I feel like for a brief moment, that is how I learned about other websites.
Right.
But accessing that memory took like all of my mental energy. Like I'm struggling now. Like that's deep in there somewhere.
Well, and now they're kind of more like, what kind of illness does Ryan Reynolds have? And that's some like horrifying image.
Right. Which I do want to see. I want to see what's wrong with Ryan Reynolds. That's true.
I know, but it's not real. It just takes you. I feel like maybe I have clicked it because I know it goes somewhere that's bullshit, like a totally different thing that's just like 800 more ads because they're just getting paid per little look you take, a little gander.
I do love screenshotting them. Like that's a thing I'll do a lot, is like screenshot them and tweet them.
Yes, totally.
But I asked that because today's episode is about banner ads. With the onslaught of AI slop, there's a big conversation right now about, all of the other dumb garbage that's been on the internet since time immemorial. And I was thinking about, the background radiation of internet slop that we've just sort of accepted as normal. Mm-hmm. The dumb, misleading, not infrequently gross stuff that's just part of our lives now that we, as people with computers in our hands constantly just sort of deal with. So today we want to talk about the sloppiest of slops, how it evolved, why it thrives in our world. And, it's summer. So let's just have fun and talk about awful mobile game ads, the most awful ads of all. Joining us, according to analytics, they are already your favorite podcaster, the foremost expert on cultural slop from American Hysteria, Chelsey Weber-Smith. Hello, welcome to the show.
Hi, Ryan. I am very excited to be here and share with you some of the weirdest shit that I have ever encountered and my ideas on why it exists and why it does well, apparently. I've got a real cornucopia of outrageous shit for you today. And
Excellent.
I'm honored to get to share it with you.
I love looking at content, and I especially love looking at bad content. So this is very exciting for me.
Well, here we go.
So I think we're going to start with you with your slop fest. So I'm going to let you take the reins of the show and let me into the dark heart of what you've brought for us today.
Wonderful. Okay. So amongst the slop we are talking about in the great trough of the internet, I have found that the strangest thing are these mobile game ads. And I think that probably most people listening have come across them in some form, right? Sometimes it's like you see those games where you have to rescue a character as the water is filling like different chambers of the screen. You know that one, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like those ones where there's a human hand reaching onto a puzzle and it's like only someone with a 250 IQ could solve this, and you see them fail again and again.
Have you seen the one of like a man holding a woman and like a jester is throwing knives at the man's back to protect the woman? I really like those.
It's great. I have not seen that one, but this is right in line with the things we will be looking at today. So I think the other one I see all the time is like a character, there's a horde of zombies or some other horde.
Yeah.
And they're chasing them into infinity. And then you have to build like a city or a kingdom or some like apocalypse chamber. So those are like kind of the typical ones you see that aren't so like they're slop and they're terrible. But I want to bring you some like darker, freakier, weirder stuff. So we're going to do like the weirdest of the weird that I was able to collect for you. And a lot of them are lost to time because I feel like this was most popular in like early 2020s. And they're still around though. They're still around. So
I don't remember that period of time very well. My brain protects me from accessing that, actually.
Yes, I agree with you. And so now I will bring you back home to the era that we've all completely repressed. I want to shout out Shitty Mobile Game Ads, the subreddit. And I got almost everything from their archives. So thank you guys. God's work. I've been wanting to talk about this for a really long time, but I haven't been able to turn it into one of our long form episodes. So this is like a really great day for me. So maybe we should dive in. And I thought that what would make the most sense would be to have you describe what you're seeing. And I don't know if you'll want to put the videos up. I don't know if you can, but I thought for our podcast audience, at least, we could just have you really get the poet in you out and tell us what's going on in these.
I'm ready.
Videos.
I'm locking in.
Okay, great. So let's go to the first one on the list. This is for a game called Chief Almighty, which is basically one of those kind of medieval kingdom building games. Okay. But this is how it's advertised to everyone on the internet.
All right, here we go. So it's a baby on a tree, and now like a dinosaur has knocked the baby and the tree into the water. And there's like a chieftain kind of man, and you have to choose between the beast and the baby. And now he's pulling the baby out of the water. Now he's going to walk into the water, and he's picked up there was a shark in the water the whole time. Now the baby is eating the shark and has become a beautiful woman. And now he's taking the woman back to his castle, which is now filling up as like a fortress. And
that's it.
That is the game. So, okay, I'm imagining that this is a game like Mafia, where like it's like level 1 thug, level 100 Yakuza boss, but it's for your wife. which is interesting. So you can capture your wife as a baby.
Yes.
And then make her an adult woman by feeding her a shark, which I think, that is how marriage works. I think
generally,
that is true.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Any good marriage starts out like that, I think. Yes. So, like you said, this is a game that is pretty much a basic kingdom building game, like the ones we see advertised all the time. And this is just the ad that they do and has almost nothing to do with the game itself, which is something we'll see.
Right. I feel like that's important to set up here, which is that like these trailers do not connect to the game in terms of gameplay in any way ever.
No.
Usually.
No.
Okay. What do we got next? Well, this is called Lily's Garden, it seems.
Yeah.
I think I know this one.
Yeah, Lily's Garden, I think, is probably like the most famous
I know
of the mobile game. Mm-hmm. So they kind of have what they have done that is a little bit unique is have an ongoing storyline throughout their ads. Okay. And people get really obsessed with them and like catalog the characters' arcs and everything. And some of them are really normal. And then some of them are like this. Hit it.
All right, let's take a look here. So this is a woman, and she's opened. Oh, it's like a washing machine. She's sitting she's sitting on the washing machine. I know where that's headed. She's looking very excited to be sitting on the washing machine. Oh, now she's entering a laundromat with her female friends, and they're pouring wine and lighting candles, and they're all sitting on the washing machines now, or the dryers, I guess you should say. That's it. That's the game. Is that you sit on the washing machines and do big comes with your besties, I guess. That's the game.
That's it. But it's not.
Interesting.
It's not the game. No, the game is...
I don't think that is the game, right? Isn't it like a garden simulator?
It's a garden building game, like one of those very simple garden building games. Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with sexual contact with washing machines.
Well, apparently, hold on, wait. The two other characters in this are named Penny and Flo, and they're from a sister game that's a home renovation game. I just looked this up. So there's a cinematic universe
crossover
of horny laundromat women here at play. Wow. Yeah, this is Avengers Endgame for mobile game ads, I think.
to be fair, when you garden and also when you do home reno, you have to do a lot of laundry. You do get very dirty.
That's true. Yeah.
This is like it does tie into the game. Now, this is the realism section.
My theory is, knowing the internet and knowing video games and like how culture works now, my guess is they released Lily's Garden and they're like, we made this character too hot. And a normal game company would be like, this is just going to be a problem that we're going to have to manage for the rest of the time that we have this intellectual property. But for mobile games, I think they're like, we should just really lean into this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we'll definitely get into the kind of underlying psychological mechanisms that are at play here. And that's definitely one of them. So, yep, that's Lily's Garden, a fave out in the internet world. So I wanted to now bring to you kind of what I consider to be the, top tier, outrageous, insane content that I have found. And I feel like you've seen these because they have in the past really filled my feed, which probably says something about the amount that I engage with the ads for these different mobile games for research.
Sure.
And Project Makeover. Have you ever heard of this game?
Oh, yes.
You hear something in your brain rattling around?
I think so.
I think you're going to remember.
Yeah. All right. Let's hit the let's Grant, could you remove the not safe for work content warning on this video, please?
Our last guest asked me if I get hazard pay for the show, and we're really adding it to the ledger.
Yeah.
No, it's the opposite. Grant's part of a work release program where I find I like to hire like tech literate perverts to do work for me, and I have a great deal with the state of New York. So,
do you guys have an HR department?
We're not. We don't need one. We don't need one because of the work release program. It's totally fine.
Perfect. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Adams.
Cancels it out.
Yeah, the jail handles that. If he goes too far off the rails, he goes back to pervert jail.
Okay, good.
All right,
good.
Here we go. Oh, this is the stinky feet
you know
one.
This.
Yeah,
you know
I know this one. Okay, so it's some kind of cop or a pilot maybe smelling this woman's stinky feet. Now another woman's sad because she saw it. She's walking in the rain and she needs a makeover. How are we gonna make? Oh, we're gonna cover her in slime. Oh, a bunch of slime. Yeah, of course. You gotta cover her in slime. And now she has hairy feet. What are we gonna do? We're gonna tape her feet and we're gonna wax her. Cool. Yeah, this is fetish shit. This is just pure unadulterated fetish stuff. We're shaving her head now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she's crying. And I would cry too if I was covered in slime and then shaved.
Yes.
Against my will. I feel like this is like ticking all the... Okay. How do I say this? Okay, so...
Let's hear it.
I feel like if you've been around on the internet long enough, like you just sort of get a sense that you're staring at fetish art.
Yeah.
There's like certain logic jumps in it where you're like that's like a fetish thing. So like the sort of the focus on feet and hairy legs and slimes and goos and like doing weird things against people's will, like shaving them or feeding them to a giant snake, like there's just like, you're looking at stuff and you're like, that's a fetish thing. Yeah. And like, this is clearly a fetish thing.
Yes. And there's like a lot of like scatological stuff you'll see in these ads that kind of come out of nowhere. Sure. And it's always right. Like the first maybe 3 to 5 seconds of the ad is something that you're just like, what in the fuck am I looking at? And then the rest of it is the same thing over and over again, where it's this like poor girl who never wins the game and always gets her head shaved at the end for some reason. And there's like this demoralizing aspect to the rest of it that, of course, also can fit into the fetish universe. And I think that the fetish thing is really key in a lot of these ads. And I think we'll talk more about why eventually, but you can imagine that it like for certain people triggers a response that maybe they wouldn't fully even be aware of. Many people would be fully aware of it, but a lot of these ads are working on a subconscious level, which is kind of how advertising's always worked, but we're just seeing like the weirdest iteration.
Oh, so you're kind of arguing like these ads are trying to maybe not awaken fetishes in people, but like tap into like a sensory state that like powers fetish content.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but like I have a theory. I don't even know if it's like a theory. I think it just is true. I just can't really remember it, like how the order went. But like the first ASMR content like I ever came across was fetish content.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And it has become now like a mainstream type of content that like even AI can produce. And like that to me is really, really interesting, where it's like the internet and fetishism have like been so intertwined for so many years that like fetishists are developing specific kinds of media content for that. And now like mobile games are taking that and like one-shotting unsuspecting internet users with it.
100%. I think that's a very good analysis. And I think we see it more and more because advertisers are figuring out and we're getting desensitized to what kind of content is really like triggering our primordial Freudian, whatever, our little subconscious in there. So
the inner foot fetishist in all of us.
In all of us,
I do think it's worth noting that like, it's not like these ads appear for adult mobile game slop. Like kids are playing mobile dumb games. Like these are the ads for all.
Yeah.
Any demographic.
A lot of them say like 17 and up, but who's able to prove that, right? That's
right.
They're targeting a lot of kids in this for sure. And even if the kids don't click through, it's like they're not able to tell whose feed is a kid and whose feed is an adult, right? It's like these ads are playing everywhere.
Yeah, and all of these have like a cartoon aesthetic, like we should say.
Yes.
Like this is clearly like trying to capture the attention spans of like very young people.
Yeah, definitely. I want to show you one more project makeover video that you can let me know what you think in terms of what fetish is being expressed here.
All right. I'm going into my mental Rolodex of internet fetishists.
It's called Chicken Eggs. Hit that one.
Okay. Chicken eggs.
Somehow that's the worst name this could possibly have.
Yep. Isn't it?
Why do you have to specify chicken eggs? Yeah.
You'll see.
All right. So it's a chicken laying eggs. There's a couple in bed. The man says, "Bae, I missed you." Now he's angry and he's cutting the bed in half because her nightgown was full of eggs that the chicken laid.
Yeah. Yeah, so now she's going to go get her project makeover after that humiliation that makes very little sense to me.
What are you both not following about this? What's not clear about that plot?
A weird thing I kind of love about these videos that I've also seen in like a lot of the home renovation videos that went viral on TikTok last year is like telltale signs that they were not made by Americans.
Yes. Yeah.
Like little things where you're like, that's not an American house. Like this isn't like an American idea. I assume most of these animations are being made in like content farms in the global south.
Yeah.
Like I assume that's where like people on Fiverr or something. Like I have to imagine that's where a lot of these come from.
And I think that's true. I think that there are a handful of American companies that are also making these ads. And there's even one that I read an interview from. They do a lot of mobile game ad blog posts where they talk about how these ads work. And they do talk about the really weird ones. And they talk about how they actually do create these ads because they know that people will, they called it like the what the fuck factor, you know, that
Sure.
like basically, you know, you're scrolling, everything's kind of the same, or at least in the same like universe of things. And then all of a sudden, the only thing that's going to stop you in your kind of mindless algorithmic scroll is something that shocks you out of your kind of coma.
Of course.
Or even like folks trying to emulate American culture. So there's this like weird disconnect that happens that kind of makes the ad even more uncanny just because there's like a cultural translation issue. You know, you hear a lot of the voices we'll hear on some of the other ones, like actual conversations that are very kind of disjointed and strange. And, you know, I think that that's obviously a large part of it. So the next one we'll do is home design. And I'm sorry. Okay.
Home design. All right.
Really sorry about this one.
Oh, I like where this is headed. I like the thumbnail on this one. Let's see. So could you remove the not safe for work filter again, Grant, please?
Please, Grant.
All right. This is a woman who is getting her breast milk pumped and a man is drinking it. And apparently it's a woman's best friend and her husband. Now she's fighting them and she's walking in the rain, distraught. She's in like a thatch roofed cabin. And you have to play solitaire, I guess, to get her a new roof. I like that this one shows the actual gameplay. So you're basically you're playing solitaire to make her house better. And I guess like the inciting incident is that she walked in on her husband drinking her friend's breast milk. That seems totally fine and normal, actually, for a solitaire game. I think that's how it's been a while since I played it, but I think that's how Balatro starts as well. So that's very similar.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that one, what do you even say, right? It's just like the same thing we've been talking about is that is one of the strangest things that you could come across on your regular ass feed when you're not out looking for it. So it's going to make a lot of people click that link because you got to know, is this what happens in the game? It's very weird.
It is kind of fascinating that this is like not totally dissimilar from like how video games like Sonic the Hedgehog got lore, right? Like old video games were limited by what you could show on screen. So they'd come up with like all this crazy backstory stuff that like never appeared in the game as like a marketing tool. And it is funny that mobile games are effectively doing the same thing, but like with fetish slop from the internet.
Yeah.
What's like Sonic lore that was used as marketing?
Oh, like the entire thing. Like there's no story in the game. Sega America like made up a whole backstory that isn't the same as Sega Japan's backstory because there's no like no one paying attention. So like a lot of your games in the 90s, they'd come up with this like crazy, ridiculous story that you would read about on the back of the game and you play it as like just a pixel jumping up and down. Like it was very common in the 80s.
Got it.
Okay. Interesting. And did that have to do with like users? Like did people create the story and then it was pulled from like fan fiction, or was it just totally original?
No. Like in very old video games like this, you would sort of try to like encode a bit of a vibe into the very simple platformer games, but most of the story was invented by the marketing department.
Yeah.
So, and especially if you were localizing a game from Japan, you would oftentimes just like make a totally new character out of it. That's why there's so much weird, inconsistent stuff between like Mario in the US and Mario in Japan, or Sonic in the US, Sonic in Japan. So this is not totally unheard of. It's like, but they're just like, these mobile game company marketing teams are pulling from a very different well of culture. They're pulling from like how to catch your eye online rather than how to catch like a little kid's eye in a video game store.
Right. That makes sense.
The thought process is the same.
Yeah.
So these would be in the store on place cards somewhere, or they'd be in like those like old video game magazines where they would like write past lore,
or even in the advertisement on TV.
Got it.
I'm saying this as someone who watched several 9-hour videos about the history of Sonic Spinball for the Sega Genesis. So like there's just a lot of conflicting stuff about like old video games because no one was in charge of standardizing it. It wasn't even able to be shown in the game because of the technological limitations.
That makes sense. So you got to create something more engaging than just rings.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is it would have been great if like Sonic had stinky feet or was breastfeeding somebody or stealing chicken eggs.
That would have been great.
All of which you can find online these days if you go to DeviantArt. So like that's all there. Yeah, if you want it.
That's going to live with you forever.
Sonic's stinky feet.
This is the thing that's going to be clipped. That is, okay. Sorry. That's what you were saying.
Well, it kind of makes, I wonder if the fan fiction universe did influence this, or like, the porny fan fiction influenced these ads as well, because I don't know, there's a lot in common with those two worlds. And I don't know, I wonder if there was an influence, an invisible hand.
It could be. I do think that like we are now slowly kind of getting to a strange place with internet content where there are just like core viral content storylines, like someone's cheating or someone loses all their money or someone's out on the street giving you money. Like if you go and watch any random video on Instagram or Facebook, there are just like skit storylines that everybody does.
Yeah.
It's like very vaudevillian in that way. Like there's just like these, and a lot of them have porny undertones, I think largely because you're dealing with the same kind of people. Like the people that make viral content for Facebook are making it up on the fly to get your attention in the same way that like porn actors are trying to like slap a plot onto something to get your attention. It's the same mentality.
Yeah.
And so mobile game marketing teams, I think, are probably operating under the same logic. And they're just like taking, someone gets stuck in the dryer and then you've got to play solitaire to get them out. You know, your stepsister stole your breast milk or whatever. Like that is, it's the same thing across the web, whether it's porn or not porn.
Yeah. There's a template. For sure.
Yes.
All right. Should we go to the next one here? The next one is for the Ants' Underground Kingdom. We don't necessarily have to watch the whole thing, but I'd like you to kind of see what they show you up front.
Is that an ant having sex with another ant? Is that a...
No, it's a wasp having sex with an ant. It's a wasp having sex with an ant. Mm-hmm. Okay. And now the ants are like attacking slugs and other kinds of bug stuff and becoming like more powerful ants. Yeah, and this is kind of what the gameplay is really like. There's not a lot more to show you. It's kind of like the upfront of the wasp having like graphic sex with the ant is really what I wanted to display for you.
Yeah, I don't think that's also like how bugs have sex. I think they have like it's sex in a different way. But yeah, that's interesting. It's
not accurate.
Yeah, didn't seem scientifically accurate to me.
That's such a fair gripe.
Ugh, not realistic.
Sorry if I'm being elitist, but that's interesting.
That's the Ants' Underground Kingdom. That's all I have to say about that. The next one, King's Choice, is going to get into another really popular trope in mobile game ads that may shock you a little bit, may shock your sensibilities. So let's see it.
All right. Okay, so a woman's like wants to get pregnant, and so she goes into a bush and has sex with a man to get pregnant
because she saw the king having sex with someone else.
And now she's pregnant. Yeah, and now she. Oh, okay. So the baby is a different race than the father, and the father's mad. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically a woman who appears to be maybe the princess or maybe not. She sees the king. The king is getting a different woman pregnant. So then she thinks, oh, I'll have the king's fake baby with this gardener in the bush. And then the baby turns out to, as you said, be a different race. And it doesn't really make that much sense since the race of the gardener was white. And the whole thing really is kind of incongruent. The storyline doesn't really make sense, but it ends with a healthy dose of
She was busy. She was busy in the bushes. Yeah, interesting.
Racism. Weird, healthy dose at the end there of confusing, very confusing racism. But this, as we'll see, is kind of a theme in this world. So if you want to do, we'll just do one more called Emperor and Beauties.
Okay, this is more of like a feudal China aesthetic here. Once again, though, they are mad that the baby is a different race than the wife, and then you feed it milk and it powers up, and is the number at the bottom the age of the woman? So the woman aged so they grew the baby into a hot woman again.
A hot woman of a different race.
Fascinating.
Yeah, the implication is kind of like, if you keep playing, you'll win by having your baby's race change to something more desirable to you.
Right. And then marrying your baby again. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of
baby marrying, but they grow up first, but it's...
Right.
Is this made by child labor? Like, is it like this is a child's understanding of like the reproductive system? Like this isn't a cultural exchange issue. This is just a learning thing.
Let's see. Emperor and Beauties is the game, yeah? Let's see. It was developed by Heyo Game. Heyo Game is a Chinese game company based in, looks like Hong Kong. Yeah, Hong Kong. And they have a very sparsely filled out website with just a privacy policy and some regulations, and that's it. Fascinating. They make a lot of games, though. Oh, no, they have two big ones right now. They have Emperor and Beauties, which we just saw the ad for, and another one that, hold on, the name translates to... okay.
Oh boy.
Translates to one official, one wife, 7.5 years. And
that's so ominous.
Okay, wait, there's a description in English. Attention all players. The 7.5th anniversary celebration of an official and a wife. Oh, an official and a wife. Oh, it's Emperor and Beauties.
Emperor and Beauties. Official and a wife. Okay, there we go. Smart, Ryan.
And this is got like a bunch of models dressed up like the characters from the game, but like they're human models.
And there's kind of like a maid thing going on, which is unsurprising.
It's very porny. Very, very porny. Okay, well. That's great that they have a Chinese version and an English version. That's awesome.
It's really nice. Okay. Yeah. So the next one is a little bit different, but I think you're really going to enjoy it. So this one is from a game that I think there are like...
That's sperm. Oh, that's sperm. that's sperm. Okay. Wait, continue. Sorry. Sperm. Oh, that's a lot of sperm. It's a lot of sperm. They seem to be trying to like dodge fallopian cysts, it looks like, kind of.
I guess that's what they think the inside of a woman looks like.
Then it gets into the egg, and that's it. The game is literally...
Wait.
Oh, and then it's racist. And then they get racist. Okay.
Sorry, I had to let you be surprised by that ending.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
That was almost scientific.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's how it works, right?
I'm definitely noticing a theme here with the rampant racism.
Yes,
for sure.
And don't worry, that is the end of our racist mobile game ad content. We're going to move on to something now very different and something I think you'll be somewhat familiar with in other formats. So let's see Happy Hospital ASMR, which is a game.
Okay, so it's marked as not safe for work again. and it's gross. So they're shaving like lungs or feet or something.
It's an ass.
Oh,
it's
butt.
an ass.
It's a butt. They're popping the pimples on the butt. It's a woman's butt. Oh, this is awful. This is just awful. There's like maggots coming out of the butt, or like a blackhead coming out of the butt. And you get to like pull
I think
stuff.
It's a maggot.
I think it's a maggot.
Choose the tweezers.
Okay.
I think this ad ended early, but I think we can imagine where it goes. So yeah, that's kind of your classic, like disgusting pimple popper content that we see a lot on YouTube and in like popular TV shows now as well. But this is just the animated version. So
I watch a lot of pimple popping videos personally.
Do you really? Tell me about that.
As a stress release, I go to R Popping on Reddit. Wow. Like often. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not for me, but I can understand the enjoying the success of the moment and something that's completed.
Do you guys want to watch some pimple pop videos? Should we just like change the topic of today's episode? Just like watch some pimple pop videos together?
Well, maybe next time.
We have a schedule to keep.
Okay. All right.
Next summer when we all take a real week off with an episode.
There we go. All right. This last one, I just wanted to end on a positive note since we've seen a lot of intense stuff. Okay. So this is for a game called Chapters.
Here we go. Oh, is this one of those like horny light novel ones?
Yes,
yeah, okay.
It is.
Cool. So it's like sexy men in suits, mafia boss. Okay, like a sexy mafia boss. Now it's like two girls kissing in a hot tub. Good for them. So I guess they're secretly together and now they can't tell the mafia boss. Oh, but the mafia boss says, "Long live the LGBTQ."
And then he gets rewarded with a threesome. It's like everybody wins.
Yeah, you're given the option of a threesome or to call 911, which I think is funny. Okay.
Yeah, so I just thought I love "Long live LGBTQ," and then it's I just think it's a really happy story to end on. That's here great. Today. Yeah. So that is my collection for you and our dear audiences. That
was great.
Yeah,
I feel like I learned a lot about the human condition and storytelling. That was pretty great.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. That was amazing.
Thank you.
I'm going to sit and think about that while I listen to our wonderful, probably very, very upset sponsors. And we're going to come back from the break and we're going to talk all about how the world of digital advertising evolved into something this vibrant and amazing. So once again, dear advertisers, I'm sorry. I hope someone told you about this show before you put your ad there.
Why are you apologizing? We can just run mobile ads now.
That's true.
We've made it big.
I would love an advertiser to talk about stinky feet. That would be great.
Hit it.
More after this. And now back to the show.
So, we want to try to figure out like how do we get to a world of like Elsagate, culture, where everything kind of looks just like insane internet garbage. Really, sort of like the way we think about like modern video game advertising started in the late 80s, 88 to 91. You start to see like hobbyist magazines for video games arriving, Electronic Gaming Monthly, Nintendo Power, GamePro. Were you ever like a reader of like early 90s video game magazines?
I was only a reader of them so that I could get cheat codes.
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't care much about the content, but I knew that was the place where I could get extra weapons on games and things like that. So that's kind of the extent of my knowledge.
I was really into like stuff like Wizard magazine, which was like for comic books, and then which like sometimes overlap with video games a bit. And then I was subscribed to Dreamcast magazine because they would put free demos of Dreamcast games in the magazine.
That's cool.
Which was pretty cool. Yeah. But I was aware of like the very like outrageous, very sexual video game ads in these magazines, which has kind of been in the industry since the beginning. There's like a lot of like 90s like PlayStation ads that are like, stop kissing girls and start playing PlayStation. Yes. Or like, your PlayStation will suck your dick off. Like stuff like that.
Perfect. Yeah.
In terms of like internet advertising, the very first banner ad, like the thing you could sort of imagine as a banner ad, launched in 1994 on Wired, of course, which was sort of like the first like real tech publication. And you can look at it right here. It says hot wired, and then it's like a bunch of symbols on it, and you can like click it, I guess. Very, very cool. By the mid 90s, early 2000s, we're now getting interactive ones. So they're moving around. These are like animated GIFs, which, would take like 25 minutes to load on non-DSL internet.
Of course.
But this is also where Flash ads start to sort of become important. How would you sort of describe the difference between like the ads that you're looking at right now, which are like animated GIFs of like a monkey running around or whatever, to like ads you see on the internet now? Like, how would you sort of describe the difference in aesthetics here?
Well, I think it's just very, very, very simple, obviously, as Flash animation was back then, and kind of on purpose. These look like you can actually play them in the banner. Is that true?
They want you to think so.
They want you to think that you can. Okay. So they got me. Yeah.
So if you were to like throw the rock at the monkey, it would activate the ad and then you'd be brought over to the website.
Right. So it's a trick. It's a trick click. And there's no storyline. I don't think that they have the time for such a thing. So it's really basic. Monkeys running back and forth. What else we got here?
Well, so the one that Grant just pulled up, I feel like is very indicative of like the post 9/11 era, where like I just remember Osama bin Laden and George W. Bush being inescapable.
Everywhere.
Like they were like the cultural slop of the 2000s. Everything sort of was downstream of Bush and bin Laden in a way.
Yeah. And there were mobile game ads that I found that I didn't include that had, Trump as a character in them and Biden as a character in them. They just weren't that interesting, but it was kind of like punch Trump or punish Trump in some way, or, punish Biden in some way. So it's still around, but I do remember what you're talking about. It was ubiquitous.
Yeah. When you're sort of talking about like the interactive ads, so they sort of start to pop up in what you would call like the Java era, where like around 1999, you start to see, an ad. So Tree Loot is like the first company to figure this out, and they're giving away coupons and discounts. And it's an animated monkey with boxing gloves, and then you're supposed to like punch the monkey and you win $20. It's done entirely in Java. It gets eventually replaced with Flash. And here's how they make their money, according to the Wall Street Journal at the time. By offering free gifts, prizes, coupons, or big cash winnings, gaming and sweepstakes sites are able to sign up players and get them to divulge their names, addresses, and in some cases, hobbies, interests, and buying patterns. The sites then use the information to sell advertisers targeted email lists or space in a daily email message to players. It's market research disguised as a game, and the information they are getting is very valuable.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, that's basically how I make money with garbage days. I trick people into clicking links and then I steal their information.
That's the only way.
So yeah, you see a ton of these in the early 2000s. If you go down one, Grant, you look at this one, which is 3 ads for tickle the fat kid till he barfs and win 2 free iPod Nanos. Grant, does this ad still work? I'd love to play this game. Does this still work?
It does not.
Dang.
I want an iPad Nano. Dang. I want to win a free iPad Nano.
Oh, God. Okay, so we've already got a little bit of gross out content here. Yeah.
No, we are fully in sort of just to keep track at home here, dear listener, the first ad was in 1994. And by like 2002 or 3, we are now like fully in slop world.
Yes.
So that's how quickly this stuff has devolved. By the mid 2000s to like early 2010s, we're now seeing tons of Flash games. They're the stuff that's crashing everybody's browsers. This also starts kind of like the browser advertising war, the ad blockers versus the browsers that sort of like make them faster. This is sort of why Google Chrome like becomes like an early popular favorite for people who are using the internet all the time, because these ads are gigantic and they are also full of slop. So like this is a McDonald's ad where you click to play and then you're like fishing for a Filet-O-Fish, basically, right?
Yeah, it's like you're supposed to tap the reel and then avoid the obstacles, which is kind of odd. Like those two things aren't really working together, but there's like a shark, a submarine and some sort of mine. And then if you get past that, you get to catch your own Filet-O-Fish. And that is there's like a real picture of the Filet-O-Fish in the animation, which I always love.
And I had totally forgotten like this weird moment online where brands had just turned ads into video games and vice versa effectively. So if you go down one, Grant, we're now looking at this is Postopia Games, and you can play a Fruity Pebbles themed game.
A Flintstone Fruity Pebbles game. Interesting. It's much more complicated. There's a lot more going on.
And if you look closely, there's an ad inside the branded game for a sleepover at the Smithsonian. So it's an ad within an ad.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What?
Isn't that wild?
That's really strange. Okay. So yeah, they're just kind of throwing a bunch of shit at you, trying probably to get you to be attracted to one of the things in the group, whether that be Fruity Pebbles or a sleepover at the Smithsonian, which does sound really fun.
It does. That actually, I once went to like a late night drinking session sanctioned at the London Museum, and it was pretty fun. Actually, walk around, look at dinosaurs, have a glass of wine. Pretty cool.
You didn't get to have a sleepover though?
I didn't get to. I was thinking about just like locking myself in the bathroom and waiting for everyone to go, but I didn't do it.
Have a night at the museum kind of scenario.
I wanted a night in the museum. I wanted a night in museum experience. Yeah. So like during this period, like early 2010s, like mobile internet hadn't overtaken desktop just yet. It's like this really weird moment between like 2009 and 2012 where people are still investing in websites, even advertisers. So you get stuff like the Muppets, like doing like an entire website full of, I don't know, just like Muppet shit, just like branded Muppet slop. And this is like ads within ads within ads within an entirely branded takeover of the site. Yeah.
It's chaos, man.
It's chaos. And this leads us directly to Sivany. So have you ever heard of Sivany?
No.
Okay. I hadn't remembered this at all. I totally forgot about this. So it was a browser-based strategy game on Flash that launched in 2009. And it's basically like a strategy game that's sort of like Civilization or Age of Empires. And it is a very early example of what we would now regularly call freemium. So you've definitely seen the ads because there's a lot of like hot chainmail babes and stuff. It used to be called Evany.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I definitely have seen these games. They were everywhere.
Yeah, I very much remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The banner ads went very viral. They even got like written up by The Guardian at the time. Friend of Garbage Day, Jeff Atwood, even like did a great timeline of these weird ads. He wrote about it back in 2009 in a post titled How not to advertise on the internet, which is great. And this is sort of like the last big moment of this style of mobile game advertising that you're going to see, is possibly because people were so mad at Evany that the creators started suing bloggers.
Whoa.
And then the head of Evany, Eric Lamb, was sued by Microsoft for click fraud before the game launched. So like he was already kind of like not a good guy, you know?
Sure.
Yeah. Anyways, this is all to say that like this is the last kind of browser game style advertising you're going to see, because from then on it becomes like the mobile era. And you're getting Plants vs. Zombies, Temple Run. And then you're also getting the stuff that like lives inside of Facebook, like Mafia Wars, Candy Crush.
Yeah.
Did you ever play any of those games?
No, not really. I've never been a mobile game person. I've definitely slang them on my show, so don't tell anyone. But no, just hasn't been my thing. I like to play crosswords.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I once found out my mom, I think, beat Candy Crush.
Wow.
Whoa.
I didn't know you could beat it. That's cool.
She like got really far and was spending real money on it. And I couldn't yell at her about that because I spent a lot of real money on Pokemon Go during the pandemic. So,
well, that's fair. At least you're getting some exercise. I
wasn't. I was paying to not go outside.
Okay.
Right.
You could pay money. You could pay money during the pandemic to increase the radius so I could do it from my couch.
Wow. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Well, at least you're honest.
Yeah.
I think my analog example I'm going to give, since I'm not as into the mobile games, is I did beat Bop It alone, which you can do if you get to the end of it.
I didn't know you could beat bop it.
I didn't know either.
I thought it would just go on indefinitely.
Imagine my surprise and excitement. It threw me a little party at the end, and it was really exciting to know that
that's amazing.
I did what no one in the world had ever done.
I didn't even know that was possible. That's amazing. Yeah. Congratulations.
Well, get out there and beat bop it, folks. It's really rewarding.
Did that instill you with any skill? Like, are you like a pop and lock dancer?
I got fast hands.
Yeah.
My hands are fast, you know. I can catch a softball really fast. I was always a sporty kid, so I think it was cool. I enjoyed it because it was like a tiny sport that you could play. Yeah. Which I guess mobile games are too, but
yeah, they are. I would say they're dexterity.
Yeah.
Let's take a little look at like what the early to mid 2010s mobile game landscape looked like. I assume most people are kind of familiar, but like Grant, if you could just click the first link there, fortify yourself with an army. This is, I think, very indicative of like what mobile game ads look like, which is that, about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, which is a lot of just like clicking stuff, big armies fighting, like no real emphasis on story. You're just clicking, and like the industry wasn't, super mature yet. Not mature in the sense that like they're mature now, but like hadn't matured, it had been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
They're also using a lot of like flash animation still.
Yeah.
It seems like, though, they pretty quickly realized what everyone else realized, and that sex sells. So, Grant, if you could go down to the link titled Cartoon Bosomy Woman Doing Dance. So if you could describe what's going on here.
All right. Yeah, we've got like a scantily clad woman in kind of a loincloth. She's doing a very suggestive dance with, big cleavage. And she's just kind of like looking at the player, which I think is key. There's like a attention to you, the potential person who I imagine will save her. I don't know. And it's called Brutal Age, which is a little unnerving. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then let's click the next link down there because I want to show you what happens when we get a bunch of different marketing genres all coming together for one video.
Great.
Describe what's going on here.
Oh, I've seen this one. I've seen this one recently. Okay, so we've got like a pretty blonde woman and a devil woman, and their mouths are huge and open, and a little guy went in them, and now everyone's kicking the little guy, and now there's a woman with a green face who's giant, and her tongue is out, and she is eating these little guys that are presumably you, the player. Oh, now one of them's pulling something out of a statue's ear. Oh, now she sucked him up. Now he's bones in her stomach that you can see. Now he's pulling a sword out of a golden kind of Mary-esque woman. Oh, a skeleton hand came out of the hole in her chest.
Right. Grant,
and
can
now,
you pause for a second?
Yep.
Something's important here to point out. And I think for listeners, this is important to know. If you ever see anything on the internet that like depicts like a giant woman or a giant woman-like thing eating a man who's small, and you can see inside of her stomach as he's digested and dies, you're looking at fetish content.
Yes.
That is like straight up, that is giantess fetish content, and like that is just classic. And the giveaway is you can see inside the belly. That's the real.
That's the giveaway,
there.
Really?
Yeah,
cool.
In my experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I was going to include this one just to put forward the giantess fetish. So I'm glad that you brought it. We're on the same wavelength.
It is remarkable that none of the ads have overlapped so far. Just like it speaks to how many of these there are that we both went into separate corners to research this, and there's been zero overlap. That is impressive. Also, your ability to narrate what was happening there, you could do play-by-play of gross fetish ads. Yeah, that was very impressive.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
It's my bop it hands. I'm quick.
Yeah, that's you were very good at identifying all the weird stuff on there. So
thank you.
As we sort of head towards the pandemic, we get to the modern era, or at least the most modern era so far of mobile games, and this is what we sort of talked about in the first act, which are these bizarre ads that sort of are psychosexual in nature. And I feel like people started to notice them around 2018, 2019. Does that sort of gel with you
that tracks,
as well?
I think, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I do wonder if part of it was TikTok. Like, because TikTok launches in 2017, and all of a sudden now we have like people watching more video content than ever before. And TikTok just like kind of opens the floodgates on digital video advertising in a way that we hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
But there definitely is like a renewed sense of like, oh, these are weird and people are noticing.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. And I mean, not to get too into it, but do you guys want to talk about Elsagate at any point?
I think we should. Before we go to the break, I do think we should touch on it. So just for people who aren't familiar, let me just get the broad strokes down so we can talk about it. So if you've ever heard the term Elsagate, it refers to a controversy where there were a few different YouTube channels around 2017 making like very disturbing children's content by slamming together things like Elsa from Frozen, Spider-Man. They're doing different costumes. It was very sexual, a lot of goos, a lot of slimes. It felt very algorithmically generated. And YouTube eventually had to start cracking down on it after like a bunch of different publications started writing about like how disturbing these things were. So what's the connection? Like, how do you see the connection there? Because I agree with you, there is one, but I'm having trouble articulating it.
Here's what I think. So, I mean, I think it's important to point out that, it's like all these characters, all this like private IP, and they're doing things like eating shit and burying each other alive and like getting abortions and getting hypodermic needle injections from like a hairy hand, like a real hand coming into the cartoon and like injecting Peppa Pig or like pulling her teeth out. It's like really dark stuff, like drinking urine, violent eye surgeries, right? Just like these things that should not be in a kid's thing, right? Yeah. And the whole point, I think, is that when you slam together, like the titles of all of these are like Peppa Pig Paw Patrol goes to the bathroom and like, just like these really weird but long titles that will, in the same way that a mobile game ad kind of makes you pause, like it's going to attract the attention of anyone who is on YouTube. If someone's shown this, it's kind of, and whether you're, people act like kids would never ever click on such a thing, right? But it's like, we remember being kids, like we're going to click on the weirdest thing that we could, it's just works, right? So it's just, again, this shock, gross out novelty. I think novelty is kind of the key here. And if you're jamming together all of these IP names in the algorithm, it's obviously going to show up. It's going to keep your attention longer because the continuing storyline is very, very strange. You're going to watch it longer, then it's going to get pushed farther up the algorithm, and then it'll just do better, get more clicks and more views. And that's what they want. And then kids are also way less likely to skip commercials. And I think that's kind of a big part of why this worked so well, was like kids are pretty passive viewers. So whether it's a toddler that has no idea what's going on, or it's a kid that's, morbidly interested in whatever weird thing is happening, it's going to get a lot more engagement. And I think it's just pretty basic, right? It's like fucked up and gross, and it's not made by people who care about kids, obviously, but it's just, yet again, capitalism influencing our subconscious and vice versa. And it's very, very weird. Yeah.
I think that's right. I do think it's like important to point out that like the algorithms for different platforms work differently. And then we can, and they don't really want us to know how they work, but like we kind of know, right? So on YouTube, like Elsagate is a really good example of like, at the time in the late 2010s, YouTube was really prioritizing like pop culture topics, like search terms. So if you could just jam a million search terms into a video, it would do really well. And YouTube was at the time, I believe, just starting sort of siloing off children's content. So like if you could be like safe for children, or you could be popular with children, you could like get a bigger audience. So like it was like hijacking the platform. And then with like TikTok, TikTok is way more trend focused. So it's like more interested in, but it's also trying to sell you stuff. So it's like the most viral things on TikTok you're ever going to see are like people like, okay, water talk. Do you remember that trend?
No.
So it's like a perfect example of like what TikTok is designed to do, which is like, it's people being like, the hot trend right now is like putting different flavor packets in my water. And then you like show off your flavor packets because like TikTok wants a trend that involves products.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like 90% of the most viral TikTok content on there is just like, I bought this product and now I can do this trend. So it doesn't sort of shock me that like the big kind of outcry about mobile game ads being weird and salacious happens with like the advent of TikTok, because it's like a product. So obviously they're probably like paying for it. They're trying to hijack your attention. But yeah, no, all of these things are basically just like, you're trying to capture people's attention, but doing it through an algorithm. Not like, I don't think that these are meant to be looked at by humans first. I think they're meant to be looked at by a machine first.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then the machine goes like, ooh, this is like weird. Like, I'll promote this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's my theory.
I think that's a good theory. Yeah.
Because like the human, you know, I'm a human being. I'm watching this. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this is. Like, this is nonsense. But like an algorithm would be like, yep, that's got all the things in it. Here you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we're going to be talking about how you crack down on something like this and why it's so difficult after a word from our very, 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 very regretful sponsors.
Sorry, y'all.
Sorry.
More after this. And now back to the show.
So how big do you think this problem is? Like you've done a lot of sort of investigations into this world. Like, do you feel like there's like something that can even be done here to like crack down on this stuff?
I didn't really go into the crackdown. You know, I don't have a solution because I was looking at it more as a sociological phenomenon, not as a moral problem. But it is obviously showing up on the feeds of anyone and everyone. I do think that it's like kind of slowed down, at least in my experience. I used to get them all the time, and now I just don't see them as often. And I don't know if that has anything to do with the mobile game industry. I don't really know how it's doing right now, but I know it's been really profitable, right? Because all people need to do is get someone to click the game. Then the advertiser gets the credit for the click-through rate. And then the gameplay, that's a whole different set of people. So the advertisers, all they are trying to do is get you to click into the game. If you download the game, you're going to immediately get ads. They're going to make money that way, or they're going to try to sell you like, you know, whatever. They're going to sell you things within the game that you need to progress in the game. So really, it's just an advertising issue that obviously is going to be hard to solve. I guess there would have to be new laws about what you can put in an ad. But, you know, it just feels like this is everywhere on the internet. It's kind of just the way things are now. So I think it'd be really hard to try to crack down on that. And as we know, when people try to crack down on things like this, they usually sneak in some insidious censorship. So I don't have a good solution, but I do know that it works really well. This type of ad does work really well.
Yeah, I mean, the reason we focus specifically on mobile game ads this week, not just because they're weird and funny and fucked up, but also because digital advertising like doesn't work and is essentially like mass scale fraud, and we would need hours to talk about like why it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have friends who work in it, and like it is not. It's not working. It's not real.
Really?
It is. It's. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news for anybody working digital advertising, but like I have a friend who works in digital advertising. He's just like, it's broken on a scale that like if people knew would crash like the economy.
Wow.
Like it doesn't really. Great. Work. Yeah. Okay. Like the click is effectively a meaningless metric now.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And it doesn't really work.
Do you think it was less meaningless like 5 years ago?
My understanding is that like the minute advertising went online, like advertising, which was never really a thing, like was broken permanently.
Okay, got it.
That's what I've heard from people who work in digital advertising.
Sure.
The in terms of like how you crack down on this stuff, like America's not going to, because we're not going to have any new laws or regulations ever again. But other countries are trying.
Oh, really?
The UK loves cracking down on internet content, and they what they would call like a media watchdog, which is kind of like a non-official kind of group. They found 8 frightening adverts that depicted women in bad ways that they want to address, and they want them banned. One of the games is an interactive romance story game called My Fantasy, which, according to The Guardian, featured an animation of a woman being approached by another woman and being pushed onto a desk, and the options appeared asking what she should do: enjoy it, push her away, please continue, and stop it. And this advertising watchdog said that the animations were strongly suggestive and implied the sexual encounters were not consensual.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that as well.
A lot of that. Mm-hmm. And so like there are like some places on earth that like want to figure out how to deal with this stuff, but I agree that it is systemic, and ultimately the only way to fix it is to fix the platforms that we're using and what they incentivize. Like they're looking for specific, and it's sort of what I was talking about in the second section is like, they're looking for specific content. And as long as they're trying to make you outraged or catch your attention without caring how they're catching your attention, and these algorithms aren't thinking, they're just like, they just know like, okay, like this content shape produces this user behavior, and advertisers or shady, weird Fiverr groups with Blender skills can figure out how to do that. And so, I agree with you that like, it's just like a thing that I think is going to be around until people stop getting like pulled into looking at it.
And I guess it's like, you could say like, don't click on it, right? Or like, don't watch it for very long, but it's pretty hard to do when you're seeing like, you want to know how this outrageous thing you're watching resolves, and then it doesn't resolve. And then you're just watching this stupid ass game for,
especially because like the click is meaningless and has been increasingly meaningless for like 15 years. The eyeball is becoming more meaningful.
So it's like, don't hover. Like, is that what you mean?
Well, this is true. So you can do this test at home if you want. Like, go on TikTok, find like a video in your feed that you like, watch it, and then refresh the feed. And I guarantee you, like, if you look at like a video of a dog for too long, your feed will refresh and it'll be almost all dogs. And it's doing that in real time.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So the platforms know that the click doesn't work anymore. And they know that advertisers know. And they're just waiting for like the weird, shady ad firms. If you want to read more about this, by the way, I recommend like 404 Media. They're very good at sort of like talking about the rot at the heart of digital advertising. But like the view, the sort of like momentary hesitation is replacing the click. And all of this is, of course, leading to the AI version of it, where like your weird fetish game is built into an AI bot or whatever. But like it's all going the same place, which is like trying to just monetize your attention span. So that way, even if you don't like what you're looking at, they can still say, well, you looked at it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing is like, you're not just going to look at things you like, you're going to look at the novelty. And that's what mobile game ads hit on and knew. Whether or not, they were successful in the way we're talking about remains to be seen maybe, but it still gets you, right?
Maybe the solution
is
we've got to sit down like everyone on Earth and just show them the worst content imaginable for hours, like Clockwork Orange style.
Get like pin their eyes open.
Yeah, and they're completely and totally desensitized. And then we can crash the digital advertising economy and be free.
I love it.
Because you will no longer be interested in looking at pregnant Elsa or Sonic with stinky feet or like a woman eat shark and then become a baby or whatever, because your brain will be so used to
You're killing the novelty. That's what we're saying. It'll no longer be interesting. Yeah.
What I'm saying, listener, you got to kill any sense of novelty in yourself before you can use the internet, and then you'll finally be free.
This is how Zuckerberg's actually going to connect us all.
Yeah. There's a term that the users of the R Drugs subreddit use called kill your eagle. And they use the term kill your eagle to sort of mean like you ego death kind of, but your eagle inside of you. And what you do is you got to kill your eagle before you go online. Yeah. I think that's what you got to do.
And like, if you do that, if you kind of take in the worst content that you can, then the novelty will become something nice. So we'll get nice content again. So then the cycle will kind of continue though.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Have either of you just hovered visually over something too long that you never, like, you're like, I don't want my feed to become this, but I looked at it and now like I've betrayed myself. And that's the only way. And then you're like inundated with a type of content.
Yeah, I've been keeping track of the sites that can do it now. So Reddit on mobile can definitely do it to a degree. It's not as sophisticated. It's a little more complicated. TikTok can definitely do it. Instagram can certainly do it, but not with story content, it seems.
Interesting.
X can do it now, but X has a really bad algorithm. So it like does it too much. So like if you hover over something on X, you're going to get nothing but that on the mobile app.
Watch one pro wrestling video and just watch 10 seconds of The Rock making an eyebrow and like, I'm only seeing stunners now.
Yeah, it seems to have like the autoplay feature tied to the algorithmic recommendation system somehow. But TikTok is the one that has the best version of this. Also, Netflix. They never get talked about, but they have something called a bucket system where you're in a bucket and another user is in a bucket, and it's constantly moving you between buckets based on what you watch or what you hover over. So that's happening. YouTube doesn't seem to do it, weirdly enough, because like YouTube wants you to watch the video. So they're much more interested in like you clicking in and watching.
Yeah.
You look at this, and this is slop generated by people. And when you look at the trajectory of content, like all influencers have trained themselves to think algorithmically, and TikTok has trained us to be just shilling products and basically making ads and pretending that it's a take. And so we've trained the human experience to be sloppy, slop, slop.
Sure.
And that is what feeds us most of the time. And we're all very worried, and rightfully so, about AI slop. Mm-hmm. But I'm starting to feel more and more nihilistic about like when we've trained ourselves as people to just think like algorithms and to just make things with like must get click, must put word here. And I think these like kind of ads like really are like the true essence of like the way that we've like warped our brains to try to like make human eye hover. Mm-hmm. Like I kind of like just want to throw out my hands and be like, what the fuck's the difference between like, if this is what we're doing with the human mind, then like who gives a shit what we do with the like the computer mind besides the like water waste, which is real.
That's really real. Yeah. I mean, it's a good point. It is. And I guess I also think of the algorithm as kind of like our subconscious, right? So it's kind of like, it's not just a computer affecting us, it's us affecting a computer. And I think what the hover has a lot to do with not even our conscious mind, but really just, that's why these places put forward things like sex, violence, gross out content, the things that bring our attention to them. I mean, the algorithm's being created and we're creating it and it's creating us, and it's getting weird.
But yeah, this is kind of what always happens when people can make their own media. Like there was a slop, quote unquote, equivalent for like newsletters when they got really cheap to make in the 1800s. Yeah. Like this is a thing that happens. And I don't feel very nihilistic about this. This is just sort of like what the end of an era looks like. Whether or not you feel good about this is up to you. But like, it's very clear to me that the transition that we're going through right now is very similar to the like independent publishing boom of the late 1800s, early 1900s into like radio and TV. And the equivalent would be the user generated internet to an AI powered internet. Mm-hmm. And obviously there are all kinds of problems there, but like that's clearly what's happening right now.
Right.
And so like the stuff that you're seeing around the internet like fall apart and like turn into slop is just what that looks like. Like we are moving on, and we're going to have new problems to deal with. But like, this is all, I think, already in the rearview mirror in a lot of ways. Like I was talking to someone else this week, a friend, not internet friend, who was just like, I don't know what to do online anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I had an experience I haven't had since the 2000s where I like opened up my browser and like didn't know what to type in the URL bar. So like this is already happening. And the fact that like it's like falling into disrepair is like very sad. And there's like lots of problems, like I said there, but like this is already kind of ending in a way, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
The old world is dead and the new world has yet to be born.
No, it's been born. We can see it. Like it is happening. Like it's happening before. It's just that the people don't want to accept like that's what's happening. And I get why. Like I don't either, but like it's very obvious to me now.
Well, I'm glad I could end this on a bummer. This was so much fun. I'm so glad that
This was fun.
This has been bizarre, gross, fun, really interesting. So thank you, Grant. Thank you, Ryan, for doing this with me. And I really hope that all our listeners will check out Panic World, because the crossover in topics is like completely right on. I think we're just a little more historical and you guys are a little more modern in the zeitgeist. So thank you both for coming, and hope you come back soon.
Thank you very much for having me.
This was American Hysteria. You can watch some of the corresponding videos to this episode on our Instagram at American Hysteria Podcast, and you can watch Panic World's video version of this episode on YouTube at Panic World Pod. Make sure you follow Panic World wherever you get your podcasts. We would love it if you picked up some of our new merch at AmericanHysteria.com. Right now, all profits are going to the Samir Project, a Palestinian-led mutual aid group on the ground in Gaza, providing food and aid to displaced families. I want to give a heartfelt thank you to all our new patrons and Apple Plus subscribers. It's so amazing to see the outpouring of support, and we hope to keep making great bonus episodes for you. If you'd like to sign up, you can go to patreon.com/American Hysteria or subscribe on Apple Plus. You'll get ad-free episodes as well as access to Hysteria Home Companion, the other podcast that I make with our producer Miranda, where we tell you stories related to the topics that we cover, stories we know that you'll love, and give you a behind-the-scenes look at both the show and our personal lives. That's patreon.com/American Hysteria or subscribe on Apple Plus. American Hysteria's producer and editor is Miranda Zickler. Our associate producer is Riley Swedelius Smith, and I'm your host, Chelsey Weber-Smith. Thanks, as always, for listening, and I hope you have a great week.